Well, who's creating these new and exciting products? Entrepreneurs. These are people who can see new opportunities everywhere they go. This also means that entrepreneurship is basically an entrepreneur that makes a creative destruction on existing products and replaces them with new ones. So when you take a strategic portion of a business and you mix it with the entrepreneurial actions, which helps a firm innovate, enter, or create new markets and improve their performance, you get something called strategic entrepreneurship. Throughout this video, you're going to learn about two of the most innovative companies in the world. The first being number 14, Intel, and number 15, Spotify. Intel was founded in 1968 and is now a multinational technology company that is the world's largest valued chip maker. Their processors are found in most personal computers, such as HP and Dell. Spotify was launched in 2008 as a music streaming, podcast, and video service that allows you to listen to over 10 million songs for free. As of June 2015, they have over 75 million users. Spotify's creative destruction has hit Apple very hard, considering that their users pay over $1 for each song, and now that they can get them all for free through Spotify. My classmates, Heidi, Isabella, Brandon, and Colton, will be going over what approaches were used to develop innovations at both firms, if the firm's innovations are increasing, radical, or both, and lastly, what roles entrepreneurs play in the innovation process at Intel and Spotify. Like Steve Jobs said, innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. So let's see how these two companies became groundbreaking leaders.
My name is Heidi Fitzler, and I will be discussing the approaches used by Intel and Spotify to develop innovation within each firm. There are three major approaches to innovation, the first being internal innovation, the second being through cooperative relationships, and the third is through acquisitions. Internal innovation is when the firm uses its own resources and capabilities for innovation, which is most commonly seen through the research and development sector of the firm. Second, cooperative relationships form when an organization partners with one or more firms to combine their two sets of resources and capabilities as the main source of innovation. And the most common example of this would be through joint ventures and strategic alliances for this approach. Lastly are acquisitions, which is when a firm either acquires a fully developed product from another firm or acquires an innovation capability by buying another company entirely. Intel's foremost approach to innovation is internally, primarily through extensive research and development, which is seen as how the company pumps over $4 billion into its research and development sector every year. And an online article published in 2002 by Fast Company magazine mentioned 4 steps regarding the innovation process at Intel. Step 1 is that Intel defines its crucial challenge correctly. Step 2 is that it puts the right people on the problem. Step 3 is to knock down the barriers between R&D and manufacturing. And step 4 is to give researchers the right mix of autonomy and guidance. So to put this in perspective, in 1998, Intel's head of logic technology development team told his team of scientists that within the next few years he wanted to be able to publish a paper that would state that they had designed the fastest transistor in the world. So he set the goal high for his team, but he didn't tell them how to build it, so they had to rethink their prior design strategy for the product. And they ended up creating the terahertz chip, which ended up being a breakthrough in the transistor speed limits in the industry. Another key factor in Intel's innovation is the observation of Moore's law. In 1965, co-founder Gordon Moore established an important prediction regarding regarding innovation for the semiconductor industry and for digital electronics overall, being that the number of transistors incorporated in a chip will double every 2 years, all while keeping costs down. And this became known as Moore's law, which has proven to be an accurate observation for speed and growth over the past 4 decades in the industry. Another company that also uses internal innovation is Spotify. The downloading and listening to music is not a relatively recent development, but the way in which Spotify is open to innovation within the music industry has proven to be successful for the firm. Along with internal innovation, Spotify has adopted a more collaborative relationship approach to innovation, and the company's social media integration with Facebook and more recently Twitter has allowed the company to grow its user base and provide more value for its consumers, all allowing the company to reach a wider audience globally. So between the two companies, we have seen the importance of research and development within a firm regarding innovation and how partnering with outside companies, such as in Spotify's case, has proven to be rewarding and effective innovation strategies.
Are Intel and Spotify's innovations incremental, radical, or both? Before this question can be answered, I will first discuss the two types of internal innovation processes. Then I will give an example of each, and lastly, I'll analyze Intel and Spotify to determine what type of internal innovation processes they utilize. There are two types of internal innovation processes. Incremental innovations sustain things that already exist. They make things better. They make business models stronger. Radical innovations disrupt what is there. They create markets that didn't exist, or they transform markets that do exist by doing things fundamentally differently. Incremental innovations build upon existing knowledge and resources, are competence enhancing, don't result in extreme product changes, and similar products do not become obsolete. Radical innovations build upon completely new knowledge and resources, are competence destroying, result in extreme product changes, and replace competitors' products. An example of an incremental innovation would be the evolution of mobile devices. Mobile devices have been improved a little bit at a time over the years. An example of a radical innovation would be switching from the use of a cassette to a CD and then to an iPod. Out with the old and in with the new is a good way to describe a radical innovation. Now that a better understanding of innovating internally has been gained, let's look at Intel and Spotify and determine whether their innovations are incremental, radical, or both. Intel entered the market in 1971, introducing new technology to the world, the first microprocessor. From this point on, Intel's innovations were incremental, as its Pentium chips were based on a similar model but with newer and improved technologies. Around 2006, Intel moved from a single-core processor to a dual processor, making its innovations radical once again. Around the same time, its tick-tock model was developed to continue innovations in its manufacturing process. The tick in the model advances manufacturing technology, enabling new capabilities, higher performance levels, and greater energy efficiency. The talk introduces the next big innovation in processor microarchitecture. Thus, Intel's innovations can be said to be both incremental and radical. Spotify, on the other hand, was founded in 2006 by Daniel Ek and Martin Lorentzen. 6 years later, the Swedish-based music platform was released in the United States. Spotify used both the internet and other technological innovations to create a service that disrupted the traditional model of music sales, replacing competitors such as iTunes and Pandora. Spotify is a free music platform streaming music instantaneously. What makes its services so unique is that users are able to choose the songs they want to listen to and create their own playlists, while also having the ability to upload and stream their own music and integrate their accounts with other social media profiles. Because of such services, music piracy has seen a downward trend in recent years. Spotify's innovations, being so disruptive and unique, can be said to be radical.
My name is Brandon Knight, and I will be discussing the role that entrepreneurs play in the innovation process at Intel and Spotify. So let's begin by defining an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone who sees an opportunity and develops an innovation to pursue it. Entrepreneurs possess a number of characteristics. They're optimistic, they're highly motivated, courageous, and willing to accept greater financial responsibility for their products as well as the uncertain consequences. So then what is an innovation? An innovation is merely the development of something new. These innovations may be a good or a service, or simply a new way of introducing a good or service to the market. Now, combining entrepreneurial and strategic processes is a relatively new concept, but those who can do so outperform those who can't. Now, to be a contender amongst the world's most innovative companies, one must be able to identify opportunities and develop innovations, as well as combine strategic processes to exploit and build competitive advantages. Now, as Heidi mentioned, these approaches may be internal, through partnership, or by acquisition. So, how does Intel and Spotify utilize these approaches to harness the power of entrepreneurship, expand their capabilities, and build these competitive advantages? Well, Intel views entrepreneurs as a fundamental driver for sustainable growth. They believe the proof is in the partnership. Their mission is to invest across the broad spectrum of technological innovations to encourage the creation of tomorrow's technology. Now, to meet this demand, Intel has partnered with various organizations to capture the power of entrepreneurship and benefit economies from around the world. Two of these initiatives that Intel has collaborated on are the Intel Youth Enterprise Program and the Intel Global Challenge. Okay. Now, the Intel Youth Enterprise Program focuses on ideation and innovation among students ages 16 to 20. And the idea is to bridge the gap between the educational system and the skills necessary to survive in today's workforce. The Intel Global Challenge focuses on global innovation, predominantly in developing countries. They've collaborated with UC Berkeley, and they host an annual challenge, and they invite teams of entrepreneurs from around the globe to introduce their new and truly innovative technologies that will make a major impact on society. Now, Spotify has a much narrower view on innovation through entrepreneurship. Daniel Eck's advice to success is to focus on one area where you feel that you can truly make a difference. Eck has been an entrepreneur from a young age. At just the age of 14, he started his first business designing websites with his fellow classmates. Now, he never considered himself an entrepreneur, rather somebody who had an itch for a problem and was annoyed enough to seek a solution. Eck took advantage of an opportunity that presented itself when the Swedish music industry nearly collapsed from digital piracy. Now, this is a little ironic given Eck was the former CEO of uTorrent, who is infamous for facilitating rampant illegal downloads. Regardless, Spotify was Eck's answer to piracy. Spotify provides users with easy access to unlimited streaming of quality music at a low price. Now, this was as disruptive to the music industry as Netflix was to the movie industry. And while their initial innovation was internal, to continue their growth, they partnered with other organizations. Through partnering with social media platforms, users are able to link their Spotify accounts to their social media profiles. This has allowed Spotify to expand their capabilities, and as Heidi also mentioned, reach a much wider audience. So it goes without saying that cooperation is the best means to facilitate rapid growth. Cooperation allows companies to focus on what they do best, and as a result, accelerates economic growth. As Daniel Eck said, these new innovations point to an entirely new realm of possibilities waiting to be discovered and solved. The end result is new and improved products for you, the consumers.
Hello, my name is Colton Preco, and I'm here to share with you the conclusion of Spotify and Intel. The immense effort and detail that is put into the world's top innovating companies shows the competitive nature of businesses today. As Heidi, Isabella, and Brandon all mentioned, Intel and Spotify are two companies that are always using innovation to get better. As Heidi mentioned, there are three major approaches to innovation: internal, cooperative relationships, and acquisitions. Intel is internal. We know this based on the fact that they spend nearly $4 billion yearly on research and development to make their products better. Spotify is also internal, however, they are mainly cooperative relationships. We see this through the usage of social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter, allowing billions of users to see their product. Isabella talked about incremental and radical innovation. Both companies use these strategies to their advantage, staying competitive and breaking into new markets as well. Brandon discussed the importance of entrepreneurship in the innovation process. Entrepreneurs are optimistic and risk takers, motivated to jump on anything that they have the opportunity to make better. Spotify was founded by an individual who noticed that the Swedish music industry was about to collapse. This allowed users to listen to music online and on demand. Intel analyzes technological innovation, therefore creating the technology of tomorrow. After researching the innovation strategies and roles that entrepreneurs play in organizations, it is evident that successful companies are linked to innovation, whether it be through internal, cooperative relationships, or acquisitions. Innovation is huge, thus allowing companies to stay relative. We would like to thank you for watching our presentation.